Hello, hello. Welcome to Between Two Tales, episode 15. We have a special in-studio, quote-unquote, episode today, live from Dave's apartment, a.k.a. the Lair.
Oh, come on now.
But, yeah, it took us forever to figure this out, but apparently we just needed OBS, and now we're good. So,
Saved us.
We're doing this in person, as you can see. So, again, my name is Kevin. This is Dave. Dave, why don't you tell all the new people what we do here on the show?
Yes, for all of you returning, thank you for coming back. I just want to put that out there. For all of the newbies, what you're about to witness is two guys going to write a full story with 5 random generated words. In the time, we'll have an hour and a half to write this whole story. We have to write a complete story in that time. We're doing this to show that it's very possible to create a story from scratch and from random words. So we didn't come with a pre-split for a story, or we didn't come with any words that we're going to use. This is all in the moment. And at the very end of our story, we'll go ahead and let our AI overlords, as Kevin likes to say, write a story very similar with the same keywords and everything. And then we'll see who has the better story.
So far, we haven't lost yet. 15 episodes in. I think we're 14-0, but
Yep.
You can decide once you see the actual AI story in the end. All right, well, we're not going to be able to share our screen this week, so you're going to have to trust us. But Dave is going to click a button. It's going to generate us 5 words. We're going to announce them, and then we're going to get cracking.
All right. So, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
What we got, Dave?
We have biology, drama, fashionable, and mill.
Mill.
I'll go ahead and start the clock.
Let's get a definition on mill. What is that?
You know, when I first
A
heard,
sawmill?
that's what I thought. I'm thinking like a sawmill, but then I thought a little bit more of a mill, $1 million.
Could be.
You know what I mean? So we have sawmill. That could be a location.
Yep.
And then, we have money. So we have 2 potential ways to incorporate that in there,
Isn't mill also like deleting, like taking things off the top or something?
taking things off the top.
Boxing match.
Is it really?
Yeah, number 4. Mill. A boxing match or fist fight.
Wow. Okay.
I want to give a shout out to our first listener here on AMP.
Well,
Hello. Just to get you caught up, we just generated our 5 words. Now we're in the beginning of creating our story. So the 5 words we were given were biology, drama, fashionable, and mill. And now we're working our way into creating a reasonable story.
an engine.
An engine, mill. Interesting.
What?
Oh, look, verb to grind or crush.
Okay. Yes. All right.
I
Yeah.
think that's what I was talking about. That's what I was thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To thicken. What? An engine.
Is it that one? I was not.
This fight is hilarious, though.
So maybe it should be something about fist fight. But that word has so much versatility. I had no idea.
I didn't know either. I only knew sawmill.
The only I'm thinking sawmill, Miller Lite,
Millions.
a million or millions, something like that. But a boxing match? That's
I had no
interesting. That's very interesting. And then to grind and crush, like when someone says that, you're like, okay, I remember that now. Fashionable is interesting
It is.
because you think about clothing, but fashionable can be, I believe, a bit more than just clothing, right?
Should be like an eccentric personality. Is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah, someone's
Yeah.
fashionable. Yeah, their clothing and so on, but it doesn't have to necessarily be.
Yeah.
It's like their overall characteristic or some kind of popular trend.
Yeah, exactly. Trendy, snazzy, trend setting.
Yeah.
Biology, pretty straightforward. Now, this could be used in a number of ways. We could be talking about maybe there's a biologist in the story itself, or something like Last of Us. The biology caused
Yeah.
the apocalypse, the cordyceps, right?
Right.
Because the temperatures, global warming, right, allowed the fungus to live in people's bodies.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe there's some kind of biological attack it
too,
could be used in
yeah.
that kind of way, you know?
So that's looking more like a conflict right now.
Very much so. And then drama,
also
we don't
drama.
have to go into. I think
No.
just by the very nature of the way we're talking about this, there will be drama. And then I think we can just add that in some way, somehow. You know,
Someone's doing math.
something's added to something, you know.
Exactly. So these are very general words.
Yeah. So it's time to go through some of these, the idea center here, because, you know, it's interesting. You were talking about The Last of Us, and I'm not saying we need to create or recreate The Last of Us, but the idea of, and I'm trying to remember exactly what this is, you know, the phenomenon where now this thing is attacking the biology that we know it, you know, attacking bodies.
Yeah. The funny part is it makes perfect sense because the fungus can't live at the human body temperature normally. That's a real fact. But then the way they spun it in The Last of Us is that since global warming is taking all the temperatures up, the fungus has to adapt to survive.
Right.
So it went through some mutations to be able to live in human body temperatures.
Right.
That's how, you know, it calls all those zombies.
Yeah, it's a host, right? So the host is the body,
Yep.
and
It's like a parasite, basically.
a parasite. That was the word
Yeah,
I was
parasite.
trying to. Yeah, that was the word I was trying to remember. Is the parasite. And so I guess the question is, do we want to take something from a parasite style
We could.
show, you know, or a bio attack? Listen, I have no idea. The movie hasn't come out yet. It's Christopher Nolan's newer film coming out about the.
What's it called?
Oh, I don't remember what it's called. It hasn't come out yet, but it's to do with the atomic bomb, and I believe it's based off one of the scientists. I have to look.
Nice.
No, I think a different scientist. I have to look into it further. It hasn't come out, but I think there's a wealth of information online already about what kind of, you know, the person that he's portraying, right? But my point is, in that they're talking about this devastation to mankind with this atom bomb, right, to be used against Japan. And there could be another form of devastation about to be dropped onto, I don't know, the world, you know? It's going to be dropped onto us all, and it has some kind of biological, it's a bio attack in some way.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that might be something worth doing.
Yeah.
A bio attack, and we're trying to stop, or or we go with the option of this thing has already happened, or you know, and it's like going back in time and being like, here's all the ways that this thing should have been stopped, and yet it still continued, and we had this big bio attack against a nation or something like that, and it launched World War III or something.
All right, let's say our main character accesses a time machine, or the DeLorean, borrows the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Okay, we got
The world he lives in is already post-bio attack. So he's going back in time to prevent said bio attack.
I like that. Okay.
You know, I watched an interesting show that was about this, sort of. Basically, these scientists in the show, you know, this is like very coincidental when I watched it because the pandemic happened not too soon after. But basically, there's two worlds, right? Parallel universes, and somehow they were able to connect the two. So people from one universe was able to meet their half, the other one.
Yeah.
But they were trying to come to some agreement, and there was some foul play from one parallel universe, and they released the virus into the other one, and then the other universe ended up having a pandemic that like killed a lot of people.
Interesting. You know, that kind of reminds me of, very loosely, of a Jet Li film called The One, where there's like two of him and different parallel universes. Another one was going around killing all versions of him so he can just be the one version, and just killing all of his others in other universes. And that's why it's called The One. So he gets to a protagonist who's like a cop or whatever, and he comes to try to kill him, and, you know, he tries to go after his wife or something like this, and he's unable to kill him. And I just remember the ending of that film. It's been that film came out a long time ago. I just remember the ending of that film. It was Jet Li on top of some kind of pyramid. It looks like something like a Mayan pyramid almost, or something like that. On top of this pyramid, and all these like monsters or goons or whatever were climbing up to come kick his ass, and he's fighting them off or whatever. It was like the most interesting thing I've ever seen. But if we keep, so what you're talking about is individual thing, trying to, with this parallel universe versus a global catastrophe.
Well, it is global. It just happens in 2 different worlds.
Interesting. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
In that show, per se.
So do we want this person to be... I think we want this person to help prevent...
Yeah, they should prevent some
or
bio
attack. They're trying to prevent. Whether they succeed or not is up for, has yet to be seen.
Right.
But, okay.
So they're trying to prevent this bio attack. Now, is it through some time jumping mechanism? Is that where we're kind of leaning on? Either going
I feel like it needs to be.
Forward or back? Quantum leaping through...
Quantum leaping. We steal a little bit from the Marvel universe. Don't sue us. I think we could kind of lean into... If we're going to do time travel, like, it needs to have some kind of... I was going to say based in reality, but based in something that people already recognize. It could be, at least. In that quantum... I think it was Ant-Man or whatever, right? Like... That could be the way we kind of explain it. And I think in Ant-Man, he does it through a machine.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've seen only one of them. Don't hate us. I've only seen one of them. But I think it was in a machine. Because,
probably.
And he gets kind of zapped up into it. And he travels. So let's say, and we don't have to go too crazy about it. But, a machine is how this person... travels back in time. By the way, if you really think about it, the Terminator, I don't think they ever really fully explained how either one of the T5 or whatever, T6, whatever they're called, T1, T2, I don't know, how they were able to travel back in time. He just said that they were sent back, but I don't recall them ever saying, I don't recall them ever saying, oh, this is how they did it. They just said he was sent back. No, John Connor.
Right.
They sent them back, and then they just had this little thing to just show them being sent back in time. So I don't think we necessarily need to even explain. Like, we should. This generation wants that, but we don't have to explain that right now either.
Right. Another weird line of idea that just popped in my head.
Yeah.
Let's say, like, a random person, let's say, I don't know, for some reason, when he goes to sleep, he wakes up in some biologist's body that's part of he's part of, I don't know, I guess the crew that instigates World War III in this bio attack. Maybe this is one of the scientists working on the chemicals or whatever.
You might be saying the same thing, and maybe it's just hitting me a little differently.
Yeah.
But the way I'm thinking about what you're saying, or at least the thought, was if there's 2 parallel universes... right? And there's a time travel aspect to it, or quantum leap.
Yeah.
Because it might not, whatever. Because if it's parallel universes are happening simultaneously, it's not really a time travel. It's like I'm just going to say quantum leap, though that might not be the scientific term for this thing. But one version is trying to stop this bio attack. The other version in the other realm, in the other universe, is the one who created the bio attack. Or the situation in order for that bio attack to happen. So basically, they are each other's worst enemy.
Interesting.
The antagonist is himself, just from a different universe. And then they both are basically antagonists and protagonists of each other. They both have their wants.
Yeah. Interesting. So how does the good version, how does he go about stopping his evil version?
That's for us to figure out as we go along. But what we'll say is, the self is battling himself. It's not really a great way, but you get it. Like, across
different...
the multiverse.
Yeah, so how does he know what's going on in this other version of himself? Like, how does he access that?
That's the question, yeah. And it might just be something that is not even revealed until later on in the story. So, like... the story itself starts, things are okay, whether there is a component of time travel and what I mean by that is, you said forward or backwards, right?
Yeah.
So let's say that the what decent people would think of as evil, is able to time travel to the future and sees that it's himself that stops what he's trying to do. Thus, he tries to parallel in his parallel universe, tries to leap over, bounce over, and kill that version that tries to stop what the future is. Technically, there's an aspect of the inevitable because it already happened.
Yeah.
So there's a looping aspect to this that I don't necessarily think we have to touch it just yet, but I think the best way to kind of describe it. See, now we're breaking out drawing and but so I'll say evil Kev and then Kev. This is the present, and now I'll just say past. I might not jump back there, and then we have future, right? So evil Kev jumps to the future. Right? He's stopped up here in order to bio attack. In order to stop the bio, and then it's because good Kev, if there is one, in his parallel universe was able to time hop as well and stop. Now he says, "Wait a sec." Good Kev in his parallel universe comes up, hops over to my universe and stops me. So that means I gotta put an end to him. So what he does is come back to what we consider the present and tries to stop him there.
So the good Kevin is oblivious to everything. He's just going about his normal life.
That's a good point. So at this moment in his life, he's oblivious. Like, why is this man trying to, it's kind of like this person's trying to kill me.
Yeah.
And then he gets a look at him. It's very much so like that Will Smith film that came out not too long ago. But I think,
Gemini Man?
Yeah, I think it was more so about there wasn't this global aspect to it, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, why is this thing that looks like me trying to kill me? It's like, wait, no, that is me trying to kill me. Why? Finds out why, right? Here, right? So it finds out why, and all this needed to happen because this is the loop. All this needed to happen so that way he finds out why. Then he does the march to try to stop him, and he's successful. And then this is nothing more than just a loop. It's because evil Kev finds out that he stopped. He comes back, tries to stop, finds out he has no idea what's going on, finds out why, and then that begins his life's march towards stopping him.
Right.
And then he's successful at stopping him. Now, one could say that's just a loop and that's the way it always goes. Or if one of them is self-aware that this is always a loop, say evil Kev finds out this loop happens all the time.
Yeah.
Now I got to permanently stop him some way, somehow.
Yeah.
And I can't do it here. So maybe he tries to stop him back here. Baby Kev or young Kev, what do you call it? The one Arnold Schwarzenegger, that movie. Or just said it before and I forgot.
Terminator?
The Terminator. All right. Instead of baby Kev, we'll say teen Kev or whatever, right? Teen Kev. So he says, in order to stop this loop, I'm going to go back to teen Kev, who doesn't have the resources and the maturity, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to try to end him here. And this, all within this universe. And I'm going to try to end him here. That might be an interesting way. Or we can just play out the loop and then the story is just this section. Or we can add in, somehow do this quickly. And then be like, and then he's like, no, I need to end this permanently. And then tries to drop back here.
This Kevin hops back too to protect.
Oh,
Kev.
yeah. That's something. We just all of a sudden made 2 films. This would need to be told in 2 films. How about that?
Yeah. And maybe this Kevin is in another universe or something.
Yeah, maybe this Kev then tries to end this teen Kev. But I think that's going a little too far. I think that's a bit too much.
It's just one person trying to end
himself. Always trying to end himself. This is what it's about. It's what happens when someone says, I just wish I could end myself. This is very dark. And then what happens when it turns out into something like this? It's a constant cycle of trying to end oneself.
Suicideception. Okay.
The forces of good and evil. And then we could say that for evil Kev, motivation-wise, I might steal a chapter out of Thanos, man, which is a real-life thing. So it's not even necessarily from Thanos. I mean, it is, to overpopulation, not enough resources.
Yeah.
So maybe the reason why he even has this bio attack bomb, whatever, is because of over pop and no resources. You know?
He was given a lot of money to try to end all these extra people.
Yeah. But it's what's interesting about overpop is, does that matter if they're in, if there's if there's a separation between the two universes, in this universe that might be an issue, in this universe it may not.
Right.
And so, which I'm not even saying that stops anything, because it can still be what he's on, and then Good Kev's like, that's evil, or for his own rights, and then he hops over to stop him in this universe because there's a problem in this universe.
I feel like his motivation, the evil version, he has to have like some really big position of power that he doesn't want to lose. That's why he wants to go back and end it, so he keeps his status.
Position of power.
Like, I was just randomly thinking, like, I think we spoke about this just randomly one time. Like, you know how Japan is not having enough children right now or something like that? Their population is decreasing.
Yeah.
Let's just say that scenario lends itself to a tyrannical ruler to come in, even though it could. Maybe back in the day it did.
Maybe.
And then he wants that to happen where there's less people, so he can, maybe gain control over the entire country. But if there's like a good amount of people, that means more resistance.
Right.
So he wants to go back in time and this other version of himself that...
So the only thing with that is it large enough? So the circumstances, is it large enough for him to be like, yo, I need to go back. I need to not only go back, the good Kevin, I need to hop universes to stop him, even though this guy, it's like saying, would good Hitler, the one that got into art school and became a famous artist,
Yeah.
would that version hop over to try and end Hitler as we know him in this world? So it's like, just because someone's doing something pure evil,
Right.
would they hop over to try to stop them because of like what they're doing is pure evil? So I think with the bio attack stuff, and it is pure evil, but it's not out of a lack of justification.
Right.
It would need to be such a wide scale that, I think for Marvel, right, it was 50% of the world's every population across the galaxy.
Yeah, I think so.
It wasn't even just Earth. It was just across the galaxy, 50% dead.
Right.
Or just vanished from existence. Not even dead.
Right.
So those stakes are...
Yeah, mega high.
Mega high, yeah.
Yeah. So why would he want this bio attack to go through?
That's the question. Why does evil Kev want the bio attack to happen? Tell me, Kev. Let's find out, everyone. Kevin, why do you want this bio attack to happen on the good people on Earth?
Well, because Overlord Dave, he promised me all the riches in the world if I let this bio attack go through.
See,
Because he's the evilest man. Don't get it twisted.
what now? What? And this is super sci-fi, kind of weird, wild, and probably doesn't work. But I'll say it. Just what if for fun the bio attack was almost a mandate from an alien population that wants to take over Earth, and the bio attack doesn't necessarily have to spell out death. It can also spell out weaken for everyone.
Right.
And they want to weaken everyone so that way they can either control or take our resources, combination of the both, etc. I think the main nugget in that is opening up what bio attack means. Because it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be death. It could also mean weaken.
Right.
So it's like, instead of asking, like, why would someone do this to kill everyone or kill off half a population or whatever? Why would someone do this to weaken or sicken in a time? If we wanted to get very crazy, in a sense, we could be like, why would we have, was it COVID? Why didn't we have a bio attack? Maybe COVID was the bio attack. And it's like, well, why did evil Kev want everyone to get COVID? Tell me, Kevin, why?
I just thought about an extremely just crazy angle.
Run with it. Let's hear it.
So let's say that there's a lack of resources just in the world, food, water,
etc. Yeah.
etc. I was thinking was like, what could happen that could kind of even that out a bit?
What do you mean by even? What do you mean by even out?
Like, it's the lack of resources right now. Something happens, and it's not really a lack of resources anymore. And I was like, well, what if you didn't have to eat as much food or drink as much water? I was like, how would that happen? And then Honey shrunk the kids.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The biotech, they shrunk these people.
There's a movie with that premise.
Oh, really?
Called Oversized, Undersized, something size. It's with Matt Damon. Or Shrink. Something.
I've never heard of it.
So pretty much it has the same premise of like resources are limited and they're trying to get people. They're like, hey, all right, you're living as a human, taking up all these resources. If you move into, you shrink yourself to like a tenth of your size, something like that. I don't even remember what the exact thing was, but you shrink yourself and then you live in like like this community and everything is like on a miniature scale.
Shrunken person community.
Well, everyone's shrunken in the community, so everyone seems like their normal self.
Right.
It's like everyone seems like their normal self until someone who's normal size, the normal size you were born, comes over, stands over you. It's like, what the? It's like there's like massive giants.
Right.
That probably would like. I think when one of the characters held him, and he was like this big in the palm of his hand. You know what I mean?
Then he crushed him.
Well, he threw him back in, but put him down gently. But like, what if it's something like that? Well, that's what you're basically saying.
That's another angle, yeah.
Yeah.
They shrunk. Everyone's shrunken. Maybe using your angle on top of it, evil aliens come in and shrink all the humans, and now they're just like watching from above all the humans trying to survive.
Let me just put out there: we do not need to use aliens in this story, but. All right, so let's say that bioattack is to shrink everyone down to size. Okay, in that film, I mean, I think I watched it once, and I'm not sure if I actually watched it. I think I had it in the background type deal. Uh-huh. But I'm pretty sure, Matt, like the people who did it, it was elective. So this sounds like it doesn't need to be elective.
No,
this is something, it's an attack, right?
Yeah, it's more
so
of an attack.
This is, good me, but it's an attack. And forcing everyone on the earth, everything on the earth.
Well, actually, we should have the animals be normal size. There's like a giant.
What kind of murderous thing?
A giant dog.
Yeah, I just imagine a cat. A cat will eat you.
Exactly. That's the element of danger. You gotta avoid the cats. You gotta avoid the birds.
So what if we make every person then? They shrink them all to a tenth.
So this is World War III. Instead of launching nukes at each other, we launch
bioattacks that shrinks everyone.
Yeah, a bioattack bomb that shrinks people.
In that universe. I'm still waiting for you to tell me why you did this. Do we like the idea of shrinking? Versus I think the more boilerplate bioattack, you have of some kind of virus, boom, right? That's a weakening agent and death, but it could be used towards a weakening agent or just death, right? Those are actually two. So the bioattack could either be a death, some kind of virus that is death related, or some kind of virus that is weakening related. And then you have this interesting one of shrinkage.
All right, the opposite. Everyone turns into giants.
He makes everyone a giant. He wants to end everything. All right, let's make a decision. We're running at 55 minutes.
This bioattack needs to do something.
Here's what I'll say. I think if we do the shrinkage, that's interesting. Could be kind of funny. Could be very interesting. I think if we go with death, it's very, very serious. Okay, sci-fi. The whole thing is kind of sci-fi, but it's very sci-fi. It's through sickness. Virus is very relevant of today. It's not a leap mentally for someone to get there because of what we went through back in beginning of 2020 and so on.
Yeah.
So like, there's a relevancy to that where it's like, oh, imagine if someone took it and it was malicious, and some people already think it's malicious, but whatever. But they did that. It's something else. We make up whatever virus it is, comes from, wherever. We don't even know where it comes from. I remember in The Last of Us, they asked, and they said they didn't know. The person was bit, and then they were like, what happened to the person that bit that person? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's missing? Like 15 workers. So, like, it comes from this thing, and then we find out that evil Kev has planted it, and it's there to weaken or thin out the herd, so to speak.
Weaken people's immune system.
Yeah, or maybe they're trying to. Maybe he's trying to sell something, weaken them, and then sell them the fix. But is that evil enough?
Conspiracy theories of people putting drugs in our tap water and drinking water.
Oh, I think I might have heard something like that before.
So maybe it's something like that. The world
bioattack through your drinking water?
Through the tap water.
Ooh.
That's washed.
That's a good idea.
Washed through your dishes. Sometimes you drink out of it in a cup. You can't find a bottle. You don't know. You just think it's just water.
Right.
But it's doing something to your body. Weakening it somehow. Weakening what, though?
Well, I think you said your immune system, and that's not a bad idea. That's the most obvious idea, but it's also
to the point where a common cold can kill you. Or weakening it, or they put micro robots through the drinking water, and they mind control the population. That sounds like...
He tries to create his own version of slaves.
Yeah,
through mind control.
Makes everyone lenient, or what's that word? Like willing to follow orders.
Oh, it's not coming to me, but submissive.
Yeah, submissive.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about making a slavery.
Well, they all have to follow
slavery
his orders.
A future slavery situation.
They just have to do what he says.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I say we do the drinking water thing to lead to death, to thin out the herd.
That leads to death to thin out the herd. All right, what kills the people?
Just something in the drinking water. Something that's planted, poured, etc. into the drinking water.
You know, this might be...
Or maybe it's a mist.
I heard there is a virus that lives dormant in everybody. And as you grow up, because of your immune system and stuff, it's there. It's always there, but it won't activate itself. And for some reason, I think it's a version of like herpes or warts, HCV.
Okay.
So maybe this thing, through the drinking water that's distributed,
activates this thing?
Activates the dormant virus that's already in everybody.
We would have to explain that because I don't think everyone has that idea in their head. I certainly don't.
It would have to be explained through exposition, through another side character, maybe a assist, or maybe like in the beginning, the main character narrates it.
All that's great. So let's come to an agreement on the reason why this person is doing it. The antagonist is because in his universe, instead of saying they're running out of resources, they have run out of resources. Push them up a little bit. They have run out of resources, and
people are eating each other.
The world is gone. Maybe the world's gone to hell and back. It looks unrecognizable to what we see today because of the dysfunction. And he thinks there's a solution to fix this.
Oh, interesting. So what he's doing, he thinks is good.
Yeah.
To prevent what's going on in his world.
Yeah, only in his world. It's like saying, all right, look at the way it is. We want to get back to how it could be, something better than this. We have to thin out this herd, so to speak, and then we can have a better quality of life, because right now quality of life is hellish for everyone. And some people might agree with that. It's not that far off from that whole Thanos concept, but all we're doing is basing it around something, instead of a purple giant, we're basing it around like a person and saying, hey, the earth, look at it. Like, it's not just one day we'll get there. It's that day is now, and it's been now. And look at the dysfunction, and we need to do something about this, and actions laid down to do it. In that world, maybe water, since water is so limited, maybe it's something that the government has to pass out, and then he decides maybe he works in the government or whatever, in charge of something, and that's just what they're doing is like essentially poisoning mass amount of people to thin out the herd.
Yeah. I think we could roll with that.
Okay. And it also doesn't have to be water, though, too, right? Like, you can spray stuff in the air. You can...
Air.
People can eat stuff, whatever. Yeah.
Pesticides. Just like some chemical attack.
What we'll say is it's actually more of a world-building thing.
So, in his world, it's already ridden by war. People have pretty much ended the world itself.
Civilization barely exists.
Over a fight over resources. Right?
Yeah.
And he comes up with the idea that he must jump to this timeline.
So he's not jumping he's jumping timelines. Well, he doesn't have to jump timelines. The timeline jumping is just for his alternate good self. So here's everything's gone. I mean, we can really pick. I think we put it up here so that way it gives this guy time to kind of get up over here and try to stop him. So
Yeah.
he's able to see the future. You know, this, instead of saying it's happening right now, we could say in the future. You know, we see that in the future, everything's gone to hell and back, right?
Right.
So he's like, I need to go ahead and enact this thing, but this person's going to somehow try to stop me. I need to stop them first.
Got it.
Which then makes this link, and then they're like, either now this connection of when they try to stop them could happen here, it could happen here. I do question, when does this person, the evil version, when does the evil version try to actually stop? No, excuse me. When does the evil version try to put into motion his plan? That part's a little fuzzy.
Right.
Because that will dictate some of this stuff logically. So let's think about it. When does it make sense for the world to kind of be in this hellish place? In the present for where he is? Do we have to jump to the future? I think he needs to jump to the future to see how it will be. And then maybe logically the way it would work is the evil version would jump to the future at some point for some reason, sees what's going on, comes back, and is like, in order to not ever see anything like this, we need to make changes here.
Yeah, I feel like he somehow saw two different paths. Like, if the world continues as it is now in his current world, it's going to end up here.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
But if he...
So from his point of view,
if he releases the virus and he goes to this other timeline, he sees it.
So it's bad, good. So he sees life is good.
Yeah.
Based on the decision that he makes here.
And that's post-biotech.
It could be.
Well, it should be, because then...
Well, yeah, you're right, because he's going to have to...
That's why he goes back to kill that dude.
So he jumps to the future. So instead of saying here, whatever, like, you get the point. Like, this is the same.
Yeah.
But he sees the bad. He sees this, right? And he's like, oh, I need to stop that.
If life continues on as is, that's what happens. Bad stuff will happen. There's no resources. People are killing each other.
Yeah. At what point does he have to make a decision about this? So he sees this, comes back, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to go jump over to this other parallel universe and stop him. That doesn't make sense, right? So It's like, I think I said something about, like, he finds out someone tries to stop him. Oh, he has to see both. He'll go to the good for him means resources and everything.
Everything is normal.
Everything
got leveled out.
So at what point would he see this person trying to come get him? I was thinking maybe for the bad.
I think, this person...
It's almost like for it to make sense, this person would have to be technically a bit younger in order to see this. It's like Teen Kev would almost have to be able to see what he's about to enact, but doesn't see the path of good or bad, because that's not really what this version is about. It's they see the evilness.
I feel like in order to make sense, instead of trying to kill himself, he tries to kill someone else now to make it more clean.
Well, hold on. Before you throw away the idea of killing oneself, I think this might not be the right person for this. Instead, somehow the younger version is, because as this is moving along in his own journey, he has to go back, kill him. But it's more so about what the younger version sees, because unless this person, unless this version, the present version of Kev, can jump across or somehow sees the evilness that's about to happen with purposely getting people sick.
Right.
So you don't actually have to, I mean, that could happen. This could be a separate thing, everything below, but like sees the evilness and also sees in his jump or in his time travels that there's a version of him that tries to stop him.
Yeah, I think I'm getting stuck on, I'm trying to come up with a better reason for why
they would stop him.
This Kevin leads to this bad future here.
I don't think they lead to it. I think they just try. I think this originally was spelled out to try to stop the person here. But as we talk more about what is actually the problem, what's actually going on, it's more like this is going to happen here. Like, they could see what's going on. Like, this person sees the future. This person may or may not. But all the battling, all the fighting, all the stuff is going to happen here in the present.
Right.
Because they have to stop him before he enacts
Before he
killing
releases the bio attack.
Yeah. So it would have to happen here, not up here. It's just this is outcome. At this point, this is outcome.
Yep.
This present is where everything needs to go down, and this is another film. So the future is the outcome.
Future's the outcome.
Present, is the present, and where people need to be ended.
Okay.
The only issue I have with this
Yep.
is how does he see that the other version of himself in another universe is going to even try to attempt to end him, which thus means he needs to end him. And then how does the good Kev see that, hey, this thing is going on? And then on top of that, why does he care?
Right.
That's like another question.
Right.
But those questions are still the same questions, even if it was with someone random. Because even if you place a random head, why do they care what's going on over here?
Right.
I think there might be a little bit more to it if it's himself trying to kill himself. But maybe it's because of the looping factor is why they're destined to try to attack each other.
Interesting. I feel like I've seen this somewhere before.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I'm trying to...
I think it's a mixture of Terminator, Gemini Man.
Yeah, it's still kind of fuzzy to me. I'm trying to make sense of it.
I think it's fuzzy for me too, but maybe we'll crack into it and see if there's anything in there.
Right.
With our 38 minutes.
So that Kevin is trying to stop evil Kevin.
Yeah. We just have to figure out
how
and why. I think, what name should we give?
Dave. Random male name generator. Okay, let me see. Okay, I got it. The two versions of himself, they go in a mill, aka a boxing match.
No, they go to the sawmill and have their battle at the sawmill.
That's right.
That's what it is. They go into the sawmill, battle it out.
Josh Connor, Jack Fox, Martin Tate.
Martin Tate. That's a name, yeah.
Martin Tate.
Marvin Ball.
Randall Jenkins.
Randall, that's a name. I don't know if I ever met Randall.
I met one.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he look the way his name sounds?
How does a Randall look to you?
I don't know, man. When I think of Randall, wasn't the name in Monsters, Inc. of the antagonist Randall? That little slithering
I don't know.
evil thing? I think it was Randall.
It sounds like it.
Winston. I think we'd go with Martin Tate. That's quite the name.
Martin Tate. Okay. Martin Tate number 1. And Martin Tate
wants to stop his evil self.
Martin Tate needs to stop
killing him, number 1.
Martin Tate 2.
And from this bio attack. I think that's really how it gets started for him. And like the reason Martin Tate, the protagonist, the reason why he even really gets in there is because his antagonist self is coming for him. I think he's just living his life. And then his antagonist comes for him. And then it kind of sets him off in this journey to figure out what is going on.
But if people just keep getting killed around him, it's just his...
Yeah, he's walking around and people just drop his assassins after him.
His assassin self is killing people around him. Or he's attempting to kill him, but he's doing, what's it called? Innocent bystander damage. He's like, why death just follows me?
I'm saying an antagonist wants to ensure the world is safe from global changes, whatever that might, for his universe. In order to do so, he must poison everyone, launch a bio attack
through tap water,
and stop his alternate self from interfering.
Yeah.
And it's like the funny thing is by doing that, by trying to stop him, is what creates the interference.
Right.
Because one could, realistically, if we back up, one could argue that he would have never interfered in the first place if he was never attacked.
Right.
But set on this loop.
Right.
That's like how it is. I think that's pretty good enough. There's a lot of thinking through it that needs to happen for this type. Yeah. I don't know why we decide to make such more complicated stories in our hour and a half.
This is almost. I think this is more complicated than the other one.
I think it is.
The other one was pretty complicated too.
I think we just keep telling ourselves, just make tougher and tougher tales.
Just keep challenging ourselves. Well, let's.
All right, well, let's crack into something.
Let's try to get in.
So, who do we start off as?
I think Martin in the future. He sees.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty good. So, Evil Martin.
Yeah.
So, let's put an E. Evil Martin looks... I'm going to make this super general because... So, everyone watching, we have about 32 minutes, and this one has a lot of nooks and crannies that
we have to get through.
So, Martin looks around and sees strife.
Desolate, barren lands, fires everywhere, bodies... lean.
What'd you say? Fires.
Bodies on the ground randomly.
Bodies and just...
destruction.
Yeah. Destruction of the planet. No one's living well, including...
The planet has reverted back to tribal, village-like times with modern weapons.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. So that's jumping into the future.
Uh-huh.
And now we got to jump back to the past.
Back to the past.
Or the present.
The present. His present.
His present, yeah.
His present. Maybe like...
Here's an interesting thought. Maybe he has to... Maybe technically that was his present. I might confuse the living love out of this, but just hear me out. Maybe that was his present.
Uh-huh.
Right? Everything is jacked up.
Yep.
Pulls together some kind of device in order to go back in time to a time when he, things were better and he was younger. Like maybe at this point he's old, very old. And he's like, I just need to go back. He goes back in time to his 30s or whatever. And then he pulls together what he needs, goes back in time to like roughly his 30s and begins the process to save life as he knew it then before it gets bad and it sends him down this course.
You know what? We might have to steal from that Jet Li one because let's just say if this is his present, right?
Yep.
This is Evil Martin's present. He sees this somehow, right? He's that, and he knows the cause, which is you got to end the freaking population.
I got you. He gets to this. So this is his own universe, technically.
Yeah.
Sees it, finds out what's like, how's everything, like, how's this happening? Back in the year, we reduced the population in half, and we're successful in going towards a future where,
Yeah.
Because they already know what happened.
Right.
So it's like, we went back there and, this great man by the name of Martin Tate, you kind of look like Martin Tate.
He launched Edison. Took out half the world. And let's say he's going back here because he wants to be in this timeline.
Of course. Technically, this is a destiny because if we show this, it means that there is an alternate universe where he won. And that's interesting because you'll show this as well. We start here, show this, goes back here to actually get this. Then we have our fight. And the thing is, both of these exist. He gets killed or loses. The future is bleak.
Right.
Like he's unable to launch his thing. Let's remove gets killed. He's unable to launch what he needs.
Yep.
This is where he's headed. He wins against his other self here.
And he has to kill this one because only one of them can exist.
Oh, interesting.
In this path. And that gives him a more...
That's what you meant by Jet Li's book.
Yeah.
Come back here and kill his other self within that same...
So he could live on that timeline.
Yeah.
That's headed towards the good future.
Because he's in the timeline that went to the bad.
Yeah, he's in the shitty one.
And he's trying to not be in the shitty timeline.
So when he jumps back...
That's interesting.
He'll be the same age.
Yeah. He has to go get his other self out.
Yeah. He has to go remove his other self, or else he's in the timeline or something.
I'm not living in that bad timeline anymore.
Yeah, maybe there's
I'm not
some
living,
laws of the universe where two versions of himself can't coexist or something.
Yeah.
So he's trying to take over that Martin's life.
Yeah, that's pretty good. He's like, I'm not living in that shitty one.
All right, we gotta get rolling on that.
All right, so are we in the... So I won't even say we're anywhere... We're just in the bad timeline, right? So we have the bad timeline.
Yeah.
Martin I'm going to get so general because, guys, gals,
Time
you
limit.
need to. Martin enters. The question is, why doesn't he just stay here and kill off the other version that's in the good?
Maybe he's from here. Maybe here he's dying. So he jumps here to see there's good here.
Maybe he somehow is able to see it without living it.
Right. Yeah. That would make more sense.
Because then he wants to live it. He got the taste of it by seeing it. And he wants to live it. Or live throughout the rest of his life that way. So it would be super general. Martin sees what his life could have been in the
good timeline.
Alternate good timeline, yep.
Decides he wants to plant himself into that, we'll call it a path of destiny. What does he use to jump, though? Some machine?
I'm not going to get into that.
All right, so he uses a machine to plant himself in a timeline that's...
He uses a machine to go back in time.
On a different timeline. To a different timeline.
To a different timeline. And end his former self.
It has to be...
That is him.
Yeah, that's him. What age should they be? Should they be, like, close to where he's about to, in a position to create and launch this virus thing? Or should it be, like...
Well, he has to be in the position where he can get up into there. Like, I assume he needs some R&D, some research and development. I'll just say he's in his 30s.
Okay.
You can put late 20s.
So he's already working in a position where...
I think he's in a place where he's on the lower ends of the pole, like maybe somewhere in the middle. And then there's an opportunity for him to level up and be better and get into a place of authority in a sense. And I think that makes sense for him. So we'll say he's in his late 20s just for the sake. So when he goes back in time, he's still in his late 20s.
He's in his late 20s.
Because he's also in his late 20s.
Yeah.
He's just killing another version of himself.
He's just matching himself in that version.
Right.
So he's trying to end his other version so he can essentially take over that person.
Right.
That
Their
life.
Yeah. So, and take over their life. Okay.
So he jumps back.
So real quick,
he's like,
how does we have to tie in this? So this version has to interfere with him on somewhere on this timeline that he's like, I need to take care of him.
Well, no, this version is just continuing the path to here, to the bad future. He's coming in here because he has all the answers on how to...
Oh, are you saying that the battle is within here?
Yeah.
So he tries, instead of saying he kills, because right now I have, he ends his former self.
No, he's going to be fighting.
If that's who he's fighting. All right, now I'm with you. Okay.
He's going to be fighting his alternate self.
In his 20s. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's good. Go back in time to a different timeline and attempt to end his former self. Ooh, and take over their life. But okay, so now we have from the 20-year-old that went from here to here.
Yep.
They don't know what the hell's going on.
No, they're just trying to live their life.
So really what we're talking about here is we're talking about older and younger selves. So, well, now they're the same age. We'll continue down.
There's one that has the answers to the future.
Right.
There's the other one
who's living in the present in a sense, like doesn't know what's going on.
Exactly.
So we'll just say G for good. Where are they going on? But so he jumps in a time machine, goes back in time, and he has this agenda of I'm going to kill him,
and this guy,
and then I'm going to set things right. Okay, we get back in time. You know, Martin is going. Good Martin, protagonist Martin, is going about his normal day-to-day life.
Yep.
What's he doing in his normal day-to-day? Where does he work? Where do you think he would work in order to have access to such a thing, to where there could be an opportunity to time jump or?
Well, I think he has to be working in a place where there's an opportunity to poison the drinking water.
Oh, fair enough.
So he can carry out his plan.
He's a government aide.
Yeah.
No.
Wasn't there there's only drinking water only comes from a select few sources, right? It's
to a certain extent. But what are you trying to get at? Like,
maybe he's the manager that oversees all these locations, and
I'm pretty sure there's a government role where it's you know who manages
the drinking water. Who manages the drinking water?
Yeah, PA. Now this is very American because if we're trying to say, oh, they're doing this across the world, who cares about the EPA?
Right.
But maybe it starts off at the EPA, and then future Martin figures out a way. He comes up with a plan to get the world. That's doable. Yeah. So Martin is with 18 minutes. Martin's on his way to work.
He's visiting a water system
at the EPA. Yeah, that's actually better. Martin is on location. It's on location, working for the EPA.
Yeah. I was going to say we should hop action.
That's exactly what I'm about to do. He's on location. He's looking at something. He's with somebody, doing his job.
And this person just gets blasted.
He's looking at a
water
system or source or whatever.
I was going to have it be kind of comical. He's with a colleague. But then his colleague accidentally steps in front of him and catches a sniper bullet.
This whole thing turns into a large-scale manhunt for this poor boy.
And he has no idea
the funny thing is, his future self knows where to find himself.
Yeah.
He's like, where would I have gone? Right. How would I think about this? Like, it's kind of crazy.
Well, he doesn't know. Unless he had like some photographic memory, he doesn't know exactly how this person would move.
He
would have to remember the day-to-day of his life. So he's like pulling out ideas on where he
The funny thing is, the only logical thing in this, though, is like technically his self when he was younger, there's no loop. Because in this, we have to try to say there isn't one because when the future self went back to the past, present, depending on how you look at it, meant that he tried to end himself, so he either survived that and then still went back into the bad side or whatever. But we won't worry about that right now.
We won't worry about it.
So he's doing all this stuff when I was gonna say an arrow comes flying in and hits his coworker.
I feel like his coworker catches a sniper bullet in the abdomen, in the chest.
Well,
what's going on?
Well, maybe we shouldn't have it be so like he's a freaking militant. Like he tries to kill him with a knife or something. He tries to stab him.
Nah, he survived in this horrible future. He's definitely military trained.
Nah, I don't see that. There is no military. Everything's
he knows how to fight pretty much.
Yeah, I think. He knows how to fight. So he gets back here when a man dressed, head to toe.
This is where we're pulling
in black.
Fashionably in black.
Okay, be happy.
Oh, that's funny. Because his, maybe he was dressing like a scrub back then, so maybe like this where he's like well dressed, he's in a nice suit.
Well, I'm thinking he's like, also the good Martin could be dressed fashionably.
Also true. Dressed very fashionably. When a man dressed as a homeless man tries to.
When a man dressed head to toe in black tries to attack him with his fists. Fist fight. Yeah, he tries to come at him.
They're doing a mill.
Oh, you know where they're at? On location at the mill.
Is that a thing?
I think it sounds like a thing.
At a water mill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Tries to attack him with his fists.
Tries to strangle him.
Nah, he's not going to get his hands on him.
What is this, Martin? Was good Martin knows some jujitsu?
Nah, he's going to run. Runs away as his boss picks a fight. That's who he's going to really fight. Tries to attack him with his fists. Boss picks a fight with the guy and gets, leveled. Martin Evil looks up, and the other Martin has run off. Running through the forest, running through something, scared that someone's going to try to pick him off. Right? With 13 minutes, we are just in the beginning. We might have to spitball this one from the brain. You guys might see a real treat here.
We might have to. So he runs off.
This would be like improv. Run through the forest.
Some serious improv.
While looking back over his shoulders.
So does this whole entire story take place on this water mill?
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
I think it has to.
I think we just make it small.
I think it has to.
We wrap it around something a bit smaller. It could be this big thing where they go to different locations and do all this stuff, but like, got 12 minutes, and we also have to kind of have it make sense.
All right, you know what? I think I have a good ending. We've got to get there.
Tell me the ending, so that way I know where we're going.
Maybe Evil Martin to have an idea of what he's fighting for, he has a recorded video of the future of himself like talking. Like, we need to release this biotoxin into the water. Maybe it's just like him talking about what is going on. He's like, right now I live in this future where the world is just full of chaos and death. But I saw a glimpse of a better future for myself.
Interesting.
We need to release this biotoxin in. And the ending is with present Martin killing evil Martin, but he comes across this video of evil Martin talking.
Oh, okay.
He comes across the recording, and now we have no idea what he's going to do. He could turn into evil Martin.
Right.
The bad future and how to stop it.
You know, the funny thing is, it's like he's trying to stop him with a bio attack in order to not have a different environmental calamity.
Yeah.
So you could say like his bio attack is actually causing a lot of harm.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just interesting. I think we have 10 minutes. There's no way I'm going to write this whole thing. So let's just spitball real quick about how we kind of see certain things happening, and then we'll improv this, because I think we could.
I think literally simple. They're on this sawmill, and this dude is trying to kill them the entire time.
Yeah.
Through different methods.
Yeah.
And
I think, all right, if we start off with this fist fight, there could be an opportunity where he gets away, gets back to his apartment, and then he thinks he's safe. Because he couldn't see who was coming after him.
Right.
So he thinks he's safe, and then he comes there, he shows up there, has a fight for his life.
Thinks he's safe. He walks out. Someone has a knife, and he's trying to like jab him, trying to stab him. He pushes the guy off, ends up, maybe he gets slashed, you know, maybe he gets hurt this time. Some little cuts on the arms, on the side maybe. He runs, gets in a car.
Well, so instead of he gets in the car, like what's he trying to do? I think at a certain point, so Good Martin needs to figure out a way to wrap his brain around like someone's coming after him, and then he needs to So the real question is, so after that, it's like, why is someone to kill me? Who is trying to kill me? Because it's like the discovery of that it's himself is like a big deal for this. And then how can I go after them? So instead of them just being the victim or them running away, it's like now instead of playing defense, they're going to start playing some offense, right?
So he's like playing chess against himself.
Yeah, and that's what. So then the next step would be, you know, in essence, playing chess against himself. And that's interesting. So
he starts to realize some stuff.
Yeah, like because he also starts to realize I know this person too. Like the future is still unwritten for the Good Martin. It is still himself, and there's certain things that he can say. Oh, I know how I would do this or whatever.
Yeah, like one of the scenes. Because he comes to realize that this person who's after him knows Martin's schedule for some reason. Knows where he usually is found. So he sets a trap. So let's say he knows this. If this person knows where Martin is at all times, or not at all times, but has an idea where Martin is, he knows that Martin plays tennis at the country club every Tuesday at 7. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go about my regular schedule. But instead of leaving at 7 o'clock to the car or whatever, he's gonna.
It doesn't even have to be like a tennis like car and blah blah blah. It's just something will happen, something routine. But here's the interesting thing. So obviously, Evil Martin has been using his routine against him, but then at the same time, you know, Martin, he's playing chess now. He's in the game. He can use that opportunity of this person knows where I'm going, or myself. My future self knows where I'm going, where I'm headed. I can set a trap there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
To then get him, whatever that looks like. So then sets the trap.
Maybe like Evil Martin's waiting.
It works.
In the parking lot.
Right, whatever it is, it works. And then
they just have a dialogue.
The final battle.
They confront each other. I think present Martin has dealt Evil Martin a fatal blow, and they're like, "Why?" He unmasks him. He's like, why does this person look exactly like me? Evil Martin's like, I am you. He's like, why are you trying to kill me? And he said, you have the key to stopping the world from going to shit.
I also see that the good Martin was at some point needs to try to reason with this other Martin, whether he knows who he is at the time or not. Where it's like we don't have to do this, and it's like no matter what we do, we have to do this, and that's something that would need to happen no matter what throughout the story. Is like no matter what, we have to do that. Like we have to battle this out.
Right.
All right. And we final battle. He finds the recorded video, and and then we end on pretty much.
We have no idea.
No.
What President's going to do? Evil Martin. I mean, a good Martin.
Which Martin
is going to exist?
Right. Yeah, that's not bad.
Not too bad. We're going to have to jump through some things and be very vague on some things.
Yeah. Well, let's also make sure. So we have Mill, we have Fashionable. This whole thing is playing a drama.
Biology.
Bio attack. And it may not be in that order, but to launch a bio attack, drama, addition.
There's 2 Martins.
1 + 1 = 25.
Additional.
It's like someone saying, like, oh, wait, there's 2 of you. But that's not really it. Unless they're like, 1 + 1 is 2?
Let's see.
You could add an addition to something. Or in addition to.
In addition to, right. I mean, literally one of the times he could try to kill him is he tries to add some poison to him trying to drink something. Martin leaves to the bathroom in a coffee shop. Comes back. There's now 2 cups there.
Oh, I know what it is. So what it really comes down to is in addition to trying a bio attack, he's trying to kill me. So for him, it's not just one thing; it's 2 things.
Right.
Right. It's like, oh, so in addition to a bio attack, you're trying to replace me.
Right. Yeah, that works.
And he's like, yes, I will replace you. I will get you. That's not bad.
That's not too bad.
It's gonna be
a complicated story.
It's gonna be really weird in the middle and probably a little soft, but. We never tried just like a good spitball session of like, I mean, we have a little outline of what kind of needs to get hit.
Right.
And what that may look like, what location that may be. Well, we'll all find out in the moment because we don't know.
We're going to have to improvise.
We're going to have to improvise. Yeah. But we're running down on 40 seconds. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
No, I think we have a beginning and end. We just have to improvise the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
What parts do you want to split this up as?
Oh man, I plan on just reading, or just coming up with things, and then when I get stuck, I just point to you.
Oh, doing it that way?
Yeah. Why don't we just free flow it?
All right, we'll try it out.
And if someone can't come up with something, still keep thinking for yourself, and then
anyone can hop.
Anyone can hop in. Oh,
there's the timer.
There's the timer. All right. So, everyone, that was. What you just watched was a very difficult task of trying to come up with some kind of story within an hour and a half. For some bad reason, we made it beyond complicated. But
you know what? We're just challenging ourselves here.
Yeah.
Never hurts to challenge ourselves.
Yeah. I think if we want to get cracking into it, you want to tell them what our words are again? Remind the folks.
Yeah, so to recap, the words we got were biology, drama, fashionable, and mill.
Yes. Okay, I'll start it off. I mean,
all right.
I don't mind. Okay, so this is our story that takes place in the past, present, and future. Maybe that's the name of it. I don't know. All right.
I got a funny name. We'll get to it.
Okay. All right. We fade in. Before we look at our main character, we look out through his eyes and look around at the way the earth looks with fire and death, destruction, buildings that have long fallen, earth that has reclaimed its territory. Everything is burnt to crisp. The society as we know it is gone, and everyone is gone back to living in more tribal times, with broken down into smaller groups with modern weapons, hunting as the wildlife has retaken the cities, and hunting these wildlife in the cities. Very treacherous, dangerous, unsafe, unhappy, no electricity type of times. End of world type. We see this older gentleman with long gray beard, balding at top with hair on the sides, with a cap as he's looking out and around. In his eyes is something close to sadness. As he look through his eyes, we see that he's putting together something. He turns back around and steps back inside where he's hiding out in the old office building. He's putting together something. As he puts this thing together, he taps it on the side to see if it starts up. It doesn't start. Messes around and tinkers with the insides, taps it again like an old TV. For some of you might know what I'm referring to, and some of you are too young to understand that. But yes, people used to tap their TV back in the day to get it to work. Taps this thing again, see if it gets to work, and clunk, and this screen opens up in front of him. It's like something from the future, but yet everything around him is so very old and ancient. On the screen, we see an alternate timeline. Everything is beautiful, luscious. It's like today with flying cars, and life just looks so peaceful, so happy. People are still walking around. Women are walking around with their bassinet and their babies tucked away in there. Society is refined again. Everyone seems happy. This man that we haven't named just yet looks at this, and a tear starts to roll down his face. As that happens, we hear a group of people out front with war paint on their face that they put on with the mud. They're searching for someone. This man collects his thing, and begins to run away through this office building. Out of nowhere, a fist collides with his face, knocking him onto the ground. This attacker stands over him and asks Martin, "Where do you think you're going with my shit?" Martin collects himself and scrambles up to his feet and tells the man he wasn't doing anything with his stuff. This is actually his. He got it fair and square. But this guy, you can tell, wants none of that. He goes in to try to attack this Martin again, but this time, not being surprised, Martin puts this man down and out permanently. He's a very capable man, we come to find out. Though, as capable as he is, he knows better than to take on a group of men all at once. He continues to run as the others start to hear his footsteps and try to run after him. He escapes and hides away. Time passes and it's now night. He comes out of his hiding spot, and as he talks to himself, today is the day. Martin pulls out what looks like a pad. He undoes the screen and the technology and all the equipment that went into making this screen work and puts it into this pad. The pad lights up. At first, it flickers as if it may not even work, but it starts to light up. Then, this haze, if you will, comes up from the pad. It looks like a wormhole or some kind of warping tool. Martin is unsure whether he should step into it, so he tests it. He throws a loose brick into it, and it disappears. He tries to look after it, but no one really knows where it's going or what's happened to it. Martin decides, well, whatever it is, it must be better than this with all these people trying to hunt him down. Jumps into it, and we wake up.
Martin is looking at his hands, front and back. He gains consciousness. He runs over to a mirror, and he sees a very young version of himself. And he's confused. He's in a random public restroom. How did he even get here? He goes looking around. He sees a newspaper, looks at the date. It's 2000. He's like, 2011. I was 29 years old. Then he realizes what good fortune has come of him. He managed to leap back to a certain timeline where he's now 29. But he sees part of him fading. Now, this is a result of two versions of himself in the same timeline. He knows exactly what this is. This is timeline sickness. So he knows his new mission. He's got to kill himself that already exists in this timeline. So he starts scrambling in his head. Where was I at 29? He was like, oh, that's right. That's when I first started working for the EPA. And I had that douchebag boss, Randy. So Martin disappears. We have no idea what he's up to. But now we jump to the other Martin that was already existing in this timeline. We'll call him Good Martin. Good Martin is on a water mill site, looking at water systems with Randy, his boss, taking notes as Randy is leading him throughout the water mill. He's dressed very fashionably. You know, he's got an overcoat on, He's got nice shoes, fitting pants. Very different from what his boss looks like. His boss looks like a slob with an oversized suit. Looks very funny. So they're walking around, and Evil Martin sees them. He was able to track down, after much attempts, track down where exactly the other Martin was. So, just as they are turned around, Evil Martin comes flying out of the bushes, tackles the other Martin from behind with surprise, and tries to strangle him right there. As he's attempting to strangle him, Good Martin's running out of breath, trying to fight away this masked assailant. Randy smacks Evil Martin across the head with a clipboard and manages to get Evil Martin off. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Martin, call the cops. I'll handle this guy." And just as Randy, acting all confident because he just saved his underling, Evil Martin grabs a rock and smashes Randy across the head, knocking Randy out. Now, Good Martin, he's scared now. Now he's running for his life. He's dashing for his car, gets in his car, and just speeds away. He's calling the police while on his way home, filing a report. "Help, my boss just got hit over the head with a rock by some crazy guy dressed in all black. I don't know what's going on. It happened at the water mill on street at this location." Martin returns home and he's just puzzled. He's just, what just happened? Who was that guy that just killed me? I mean, tried to kill me. Why? What did they even want? And he thinks he's safe at home. He's like, there's no way this guy knows where I live. So, usually during this time, Martin goes to the gym. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna go work this off, get in a good workout, and just forget about this day. Just some lunatic just trying to murder me. I'm gonna go work this off. As he's walking out of his apartment building into the parking lot, someone with a knife comes dashing at him, trying to plunge this knife into his chest. Martin is fighting off this assailant. The guy is trying to stab him in the neck. Martin fights off his hands. The guy ends up slashing him across the face a bit. But Martin ends up kicking this guy off and just starts running. And running and hiding in a dumpster behind an alley. Now, Martin he's like, oh, is that the same guy from before? It can't be. But there's no way that I have 2 murder attempts on my life today. So he calls one of his good friends, seeing as he thinks he's no longer safe at home. Calls one of his good friends to let him stay the night, so at least he could be safe. While at Dean's house, Martin's telling Dean what has fired throughout the day. You know, Dean, this guy tried to kill me while I was at work, and I think he might have killed my boss. I don't know. And then, for some reason, some other guy tried to stab me when I was on my way to the gym. He's like, and Dean's just joking around with him. He's like, I don't know if I should let you stay here. That guy might come breaking into my house and trying to kill us both now. He's like, I don't know what you did, Martin, but you must have done something to piss someone off that's trying to get back at you. And Martin's just confused. He's like, I don't have any enemies.
Martin ends up asking Dean if he can stay the night and actually sleep there. After some thoughts and wondering if it's a good idea or a bad idea, Dean says, sure, why not? I understand that you need a place to stay or you don't feel safe. Hopefully we survive the night. As we're in the middle of the night, we hear a creaking sound as if something's getting closer and closer to Good Martin as he sleeps in the spare bedroom. This sound draws closer and closer until it seems like it's right on top of Martin. Martin opens his eyes. It's just the cat. Martin breathes a sigh of relief and tries to go back to sleep, but he cannot. He relives the moment by the sawmill when he and his boss were attacked. Tries to remember if he remembers anything from what this person looks like, but they were covered in black, so there's nothing he can do. Tries to remember what this person was like when he tried to attack him with the knife. He wonders, is it really the same person? It must be. Who else would try to come get me? So at that moment, Martin starts to think, maybe I should get the police involved. But as that thought starts to creep into his head, A shadow is casted outside the window in his room. Martin notices the shadow and turns around and looks. There's nothing there. He thinks maybe he's going crazy. Something similar to when the cat woke him up. He presses his face up against the window, looks outside. It's pummeling with rain, but still, he can't see anything. He decides he's going to go into the kitchen. As Martin's in the kitchen getting himself a glass of water, he hears a door close. He calls out for Dean. He hears nothing. He says, "Dean, if you're messing with me, you know this ain't the right time." He still hears nothing. Martin decides to investigate. He walks down the hall towards where Dean's room is. On the way there, he passes the bathroom. He looks inside. There's nothing out of the ordinary. He gets to Martin's room. We could feel the tension building. Puts his hand on the knob, turns it, begins to open the door into the blackness of the night with the rain beating outside, and everything looks normal. He sees the back of Dean on the bed, who looks to be sleeping. He walks over to where Dean is sleeping and calls out to him. Still no reply. Calls out to him again, this time almost on top, over him. Still no reply. Puts his hands down and shakes him. What turns around in the bed is Dean, who is so tired, and looks at him. "Why are you waking me up?" Martin feels like an asshole. He says, "I apologize. It's at night. This random things happen to me all day. I was just afraid that something happened to you." Dean tells him to stop being such a kid and go back to sleep. Stop worrying. The person doesn't know where he is. And that's what Martin does. He goes back to sleep. Good Martin goes back to sleep. It's now the morning. Martin gets up. Dean's awake. They're in the kitchen. They're talking. Dean asks him how was his night. Martin lets him know it was a terrible night. He got no sleep after he went back to his room. Dean tells him, what we should do is have you go down to the police station, and maybe they can help. Someone tried to kill you, and they can look for your boss. Martin agrees that he should go to the police station. After they finish eating, they get to the car. They're on the way to the police station, driving in an older Volkswagen. They're still discussing about what they will say. They're discussing at this point what they'll say to the cops, when all of a sudden, a car comes from nowhere, careens straight into the side of Dean's car. Both men, Dean and Good Martin, hop out, trying to figure out who hit their car. Both were kind of upset when the driver of the other car gets out, and it's Evil Martin. Good Martin and Dean are shocked. Dean looks at his friend, Good Martin, and remarks, he looks just like you. It's as if there's two of you. 1 + 1 is 2. It's at that point, Evil Martin pulls out his gun, shoots Dean in the head. Good Martin takes off running, bullets tracking, right, falling into the ground near him. Turns down, runs across the freeway, the 6-lane freeway, just to get away from his attackers. Attackers hot on him, tries to cross, almost get hit, gets back to the other side. We watch Good Martin cross the freeway and hightail it. At this point, he's not going to stop till he reaches the police station. He comes around the corner, a little bit ways in the continuous future, gets into the police station and tells the police officer at the front desk that someone's trying to kill him. They say, "Who?" They say, "Looks like me." The police officers start to laugh at him. "What do you mean? You're trying to kill you?" "Yes," he says, "but it's not me." These police officers don't understand him. They laugh at him. They tell him, "Listen, April has already passed." Martin realizes he's not going to get any help here. He leaves, hails a cab or a taxi, and tells him to drop him off somewhere that he's never been to. As he's in this place, he's grappling with the fact that it was him trying to kill him. Now he knows who's trying to kill him. He doesn't know why they're trying to kill him. But if anything, maybe he can somehow figure out a way to communicate with him.
While he's grappling around with this idea, he said, "There's no way that it could be me trying to kill me. That sounds insane." But he says, "But if that person is me, then he would know my whole schedule. He would know exactly the places I would be, when I would get there, what I'd be doing there, and so on. He feels safe where he is because this is a secluded area on a hiking trail that This is actually his first time being there. He's always thought about coming here, but never actually did it. So Good Martin hatches a plan. He says, if me is trying to kill me, then he would know that on Thursdays, I like to go play tennis with my friends at some country club. It's currently Wednesday. So he would probably be trying to stake out and look for me there. But then Martin starts wrestling with the idea, well, what if it isn't me? What if it's just coincidence that the person that tried to kill me just happens to look like me? Martin is just falling further and further into darkness because everything within a span of 2 days is just destroying his life. He has no idea why. First, he gets attacked. Someone's trying to kill him. Now that person looks exactly like him. His best friend is probably dead. His boss might be dead. And he just has a target on his head for whatever reason. But it's time for Martin to go on the offense. He can't be running away forever. So the next day, during the time when he's supposed to go play tennis, instead of walking in to the country club, he tells his friend he's not showing up today. But he's there. He's just observing. He's sitting and hiding on the far side of the parking lot, just seeing and waiting. Now he's trying to be the hunter and not be the hunted. So he's sitting there for hours, just observing cars, parking, leaving, going by, noticing if there's any particular car out of the ordinary that's just sitting there. Right when the time hit, he sees a car pulls in, and Martin and his friends usually stay until closing of the country club. So he's sitting there, still watching cars leave and go. But this car that came in exactly at 7 o'clock is still sitting there. And he's starting to get a little more suspicious. And when the time finally comes for the country club to close, that car is still sitting there. Could it be a country club worker's car? Possibly. So Martin gets out of the car. He starts circling, trying to see who is in the driver's seat of that car. He gets a glimpse of a figure that looks kind of like him. And he says, oh, this is the guy. It has to be me. So he hatches a plan. He walks around towards the entrance of the country club and pretends that he's just walking out the door. But instead of going into the parking lot, he goes around the building and he sits there. Evil Martin hops out of his car and takes the bait. He also goes towards the direction of where Good Martin was walking towards. As he's walking there, Good Martin ambushes him, throws him to the ground, and holds him down and confronts him. He's like, what do you want? Who are you? Why are you doing this to me? Evil Martin's like, you just have to die for the greater good. He's like, Good Martin's like, what do you mean? I don't want to die. What do you mean I have to die? Evil Martin's like, you have the key to saving the world from a very unfortunate future. But Good Martin doesn't want to hear any of it. He's like, sit here, I'm going to call the police, you're a lunatic, and you're going to get arrested. But as Good Martin tries to pull out his phone, Evil Martin pulls out a knife and tries to stab Good Martin with it. What comes next is a sequence of hustling and tussling on the ground, wrestling over the knife. It ends up being Good Martin, out of self-defense and trying to save his own life. He acquires the knife and plunges the knife into Evil Martin's chest. In Evil Martin's dying breath, he says, in my pocket, you'll find the answer. And Martin's like, what are you talking about? But Evil Martin has died.
Good Martin reaches into the pocket of the now deceased Evil Martin and pulls out a small device similar to a phone, but looks something different since it's from the future. The device uses facial recognition, so Good Martin is able to open it up, and the first thing he sees is a video. And underneath this video is some sort of game plan manifesto that this Evil Martin had, and in there, underneath it says what needs to be done and how to go about poisoning the water supply. This is very confusing for Good Martin. Why poison the water supply? Why do I need this poison and all these these chemicals in order to do this. And it has the different locations that need to be poisoned in order to reach the goal of 50% past dead. Doesn't make sense to Martin until he plays the video. And in the video, good Martin sees the devastation of the world as evil Martin knew it from the beginning of the tale. Evil Martin looks into the camera after showing all the destruction of the world and says, this must be done to save the world, because we need to save ourselves from ourselves. Unfortunately, I may be the only one capable of saving the world if I can just get back in time to do it. Good Martin sees this and says, or thinks to himself, is this really the way the world will go if we don't follow through with this biological attack? Good Martin thinks on it, nods his head, looks directly into the camera, and we cut to black.
Now, which version of the Martin will he be?
We don't know. That was hard as all hell. Hard. But it was funny to see what directions everything took. You know what's funny? As we were kind of going through it, I think started having even like better ideas of how the thing could look. But
yeah,
I think just to bring it together and recap what that was, it's literally two Martins going to battle against each other. One has lived in the future, in the bad version of the future, the shitty version, as you said.
Yep.
And knows that there could be a better version, goes back in time, fights off himself in order to try to, one, take over and live out that timeline, and two, then enact his plan.
Yeah.
And himself, or his good self, his younger self, fights him off because, for the will to survive, finds out the plan, and we don't know whether he ends up following suit with his evil self.
Nope.
Or if he doesn't follow through with that. I think there's themes in there that could be pulled across, and another crack at this is like you pull across Good Martin's goodness. Yeah. I think we've just been saying he's good, but we haven't demonstrated if he's good, and so that's something interesting to show or leave out if it's something whatever. We're just calling it Good Martin to make the distinction. He may not actually be good. He may be on the border, and the decision has to be made.
Right. He might have gotten the ammunition he needs now to pretty much live off Evil Martin's mission.
And then there's a whole thing about looping where maybe it was always meant to be this way in order to get to that good life. And then in that alternate timeline, it always exists another version of Martin in that bad timeline.
Yeah.
They're always trying to get here to get to the good one. And it's always the same versions getting to the good or bad, because one has to happen before the other.
It's just a constant loop of him trying to end himself.
There's something in there that's very interesting about that loop. I think how this, so just to be very clear for everyone watching, I think how this executed was not executed. And it was a very interesting study of a story concept. But at the end of the day, we still did what we need to do, which is we built a story concept that if we really wanted to, we could pick apart and refine and make better. Unlike some of the other episodes, it definitely is a lot of refinement and a lot of thinking through certain aspects of it. But
definitely a lot of refinement.
That's a story concept that's like, hey, we have this looping thing and dilemma. We know what our drama is. We know what our dilemmas are. We know what people want, either the will to survive or to not end up in that bad path.
Right.
So we still have the basis of what a story could be.
Yeah, exactly. And we have all the fundamental ingredients of the story. What needs refining is like more of like the details and just other interesting aspects that we could place in there to make a more complete story.
Right. I think it was somewhere close to what we kind of needed.
Yeah. At least the bones were there.
Yeah. At this point, Kev's going to go ahead and we're going to get some of this AI chat GPT thing going. And, it might have us on the rungs this time. I think we might be in the world of pain because it might be able to pull together a story that's more put together.
It might be. So you can't see your screen, but I'm going to ask ChatGPT, can you make a story using the words fashionable, biology, mill, and what's the last one? Oh, drama.
Drama.
And drama. You know what else? Have some
So we have
time leaping aspects and
a future that's destroyed.
a future that's destroyed.
Yeah. Because what are we talking about here? They want to be able to they want to be able to stop the destruction of the future.
Right.
So main character wants to stop the destruction of
But
the
we don't want to
future.
give the AI that, because then it's going
Okay.
to spit out like the same story.
He's
as
like,
us.
it's too good.
We got to give him like general themes and see what he spits out, because maybe not. And the world and the key to destroying the world is bio attack. Let's just say. All right. Can you make a story using the words fashionable, addition, biology, mill, and drama? Have some time leaping aspects and a future that's destroyed. And the key to destroying the world is a bio attack.
Sure.
Let's see what this pops out.
Oh man, we're starting off in 2045, everyone. This is like one of the longest ones I've ever seen. It spit out. Okay.
Oh.
In the year 20, it didn't give us a name. I guess chat. It's a little off right now. It's a little off right now. In the year 2045, the world had become a fashionable, technologically advanced utopia. However, there was an end to this seemingly perfect world that no one could have predicted. A group of rogue biologists had developed a deadly virus that could destroy the world with just 1 millimeter of its contents.
Oh, wow.
The drama began when the virus was accidentally released from the laboratory during a heated argument between the scientists. The virus quickly spread, infecting millions and killing many in its wake. Governments around the world scrambled to find a cure, but it was too late. The virus had mutated, and no one knew how to stop it. As the years passed, the virus continued to wreak havoc on the world, killing off entire populations and destroying cities. Time leaped forward. It's a weird turn. Time leaped forward, and it was now the year 2087. The world was no longer the utopia it once was. The once bustling cities were now empty, and nature had begun to reclaim the land. The world was destroyed, and all that remained were a few scattered survivors struggling to survive in the new world. One of the survivors was a brilliant scientist who had been working on a cure for the virus before it had mutated. Using a time machine, she traveled back in time to the year 2045, just before the virus had been released. She knew that if she could stop the virus from the beginning, from being released, she could save the world. She arrived at the laboratory just as the argument between the biologists was escalating. Using her knowledge of biology and her quick thinking, she was able to defuse the situation and prevent the release of the virus. As she returned to the future, she saw a world that was vastly different from the one she had left. The world was no longer destroyed, and the people were once again living their lives. In addition of the time machine, that's a weird sentence. The addition of the time machine had allowed her to change the course of history. And the bioattack that had once destroyed the world had never happened.
Interesting. So she killed her fellow scientists.
Can I just say, it's interesting that it had this whole thing start because scientists were having a heated argument. I mean, if that's not the funniest way to start something. Hey, these scientists were pissed off and angry with each other and then decided to spend some time yelling and throwing their arms about, and then one of them broke something accidentally.
They dropped a vial with this really deadly virus, and it went on to destroy the world as we know it.
I think that's not as interesting a story.
No.
It's a more well put together story.
I'll give it that.
But I don't think it's more interesting. No. I think with more time and effort in our story, we would have a better story, a more interesting story than a couple scientists got into a little piff and accidentally released this virus onto the world.
And this is just went back in time to kill her friends, or however she
Well,
decided to defuse
no,
the situation.
she diffused the situation and stopped them right at the crescendo of the argument. It was like, no, guys, calm down, relax.
Like, you all win.
And then goes back to the future and everything's back to normal. I don't buy it.
Nope.
That wouldn't be something you wanted to watch. I think in a weird, strange way. I don't even know how we're grading this. I mean, people watching it's going to be like, you guys are clearly delusional. I still think we have a better story. I just don't think it's put together well. But
No.
I think there's a basis for something that's way better than what we just read from AI.
I just think the mission of going back, diffusing an argument, rather than going back, killing your existing
One is way
self.
more dramatic. Like, there's some drama and some conflict. That's what's missing. Conflict. It's the other scientist had a conflict, which then caused the whole thing to start. But the main character doesn't have any conflict. They just have to get back there.
They just gotta prevent this from happening. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no hero's journey in this. It's just they go on an adventure to stop something.
Exactly.
I won't even call it an adventure. They just do a sequence of events to stop the real conflict, which is between the two other scientists who are not our main characters. And then that's that,
Well, we don't know how she diffused the situation. Maybe she prevented the virus from being ever said. Maybe she dived like a wide receiver to catch the vial before it broke.
Before it broke, yeah.
Maybe she knocked out the scientists that were having an argument.
Or she inserted herself into the argument.
You just don't know.
Maybe the argument was about her.
Interesting. See, the AI is missing the most interesting part. But now...
So now it's time to name whoever this is.
Oh, yeah. The two titles I had earlier were Killing Me and Killing
Me.
Myself.
Okay. That's something. I think, and I'm not saying we go with Bio Attack. Oh, but you know what? The Sawmill kind of started there.
The Sawmill. Creating destiny.
Ooh.
That's what he's trying to do.
End times. Reshaping destiny, creating
Shaping
destiny,
the future.
or just destiny.
Destiny. That's another one.
The limits of the world.
Open loop. Timeline.
Oh, what did we say? Eight's Tale. Martin's destiny.
Martin. Killing Martin.
Or Martin versus Martin.
Martin squared.
Martin versus Martin. Come along in this adventures. Multiverse.
Escaping destiny.
Ooh. All right. Escaping destiny, realizing destiny, Destiny Road.
Changing destiny.
I think we're creating destiny. I think yeah.
That might be the one.
Well, folks, you heard it here.
That was destiny.
That was destiny.
Story of Martin trying to ensure his destiny.
That's right.
That was a tough one.
The toughest story. I don't know why we did that, but we did it. And it was not flawless. That's a fact. But I think, again, the basis were great. And like I always say at the end of any of our podcasts, is that's what we were able to do in an hour and a half. We were able to come up with a concept that is a very interesting one. It would definitely need a lot of love, but it's interesting. And you can see kind of where it could be headed. That's what we were able to do in an hour and a half. The question is, what can you do in the same time?
That's right. Rick Rubin says success isn't about, creating something that you think it's good. It's just creating something.
Just create.
Exactly. So we showed up to create. We're not always going to create gold.
But that's okay.
That's okay. We got it done. We created something.
Created something that you can pick apart and pull into something else.
Exactly.
It's the story, the idea is now out there, and that can be pulled into something else and created into something else. So,
yeah.
Again, what can you do in an hour and a half? Get out, whatever you're doing, just get out there, you get on your laptop, or get a piece of paper, I don't know, and come up with a story, begin and force yourself to come up with a story beginning and see what you can do in that time. I think if you allow yourself to just be open-minded and understand that it's not going to be the best thing in the world, you can actually create something very interesting and something that you can reflect on and make better, or just create for the act of creating. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was episode 15, folks. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with episode 16, a new set of words and a brand new story.
Yeah.
Talk to you then.
All right, y'all.